Oh, by the way, we were reading that list of the Republicans who voted to convict Donald Trump. Did you notice whose name wasn't on the list? The courageous man who would stand, the last defender of the Republican Party, someone who is willing to stick his neck firmly out of his shell and stand up to Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell was among the senators who voted to acquit him. And that's bad. But his argument for why he went back into hiding in his shell is even worse. So in this statement, he cited the Senate's lack of jurisdiction over impeachment proceedings of a former president as the reason for his vote to acquit. Oh, okay. So as if we couldn't have seen this coming, back when Trump was president, he was like, no, man, we can't do this now. We need to just wait. Like, let's just get to the inauguration and we'll deal with it then. I'm not gonna bring people back. I'm going to block it while he's president. Then as soon as he's not president, oh no, now the Constitution says we can't convict him. Really convenient the way that worked out. But he could do it because again, as we always say,
he's got always has a plan. There's always a plan.
It does.
And I know it. It's in my waddle. And it will be revealed to everybody in due time. Am I doing it okay?
Now, voting to acquit is bad.
Yes.
Voting to acquit because of an excuse that you cooked up through your own behavior is worse. But you know what's worst? This statement. If President Trump were still in office, I would have carefully considered whether the House managers proved their specific charge. So he won't even say whether, if he was president, if he would have convicted him. So he won't vote to convict him because of this excuse. But even in a hypothetical situation where the excuse wasn't there, he's not even saying that Trump did it.
Of course
he's not even admitting that. He's admitting nothing. He's giving nothing. Mitch McConnell, who people were like tripping over themselves to give credit to, and we were telling people not to do that, deserves no credit. He is just as cowardly as ever before. He didn't do anything in the end.
Except he did admit that Trump incited a riot. He did. He was.
But he didn't say that the charges were right.
Oh yeah, no, he has no role in holding him accountable. Oh, who is he? But a turtle out of a shell. But yeah, no, he soon after saying that it was unconstitutional and that the Constitution said that he couldn't, that then he was like, but there's no question that Trump incited a riot against the US Capitol. And it's like, cool, great. For your donors, I assume. And check cleared, cha-ching. One interesting thing we talked about on the podcast, the Bitchuation Room, was the idea that Senator Burr, for example, voted to convict, but after, I believe he might have been one of the senators to say that it was not constitutional to impeach a former president or to convict, to have a trial of a former president. But then he was like, but look, the body decided that it was constitutional. So per the body, like I went forward and was an impartial juror in this case because we already passed that hurdle. So that is, talk about like like actually doing your job, being dutiful to the Senate. Like if the Senate decides something, then that's the baseline for how you go forward. You don't get to go skip back a few steps and say, oh no, it was unconstitutional. Y'all already decided and voted as per the procedures, as per democracy, that it is constitutional. So Mitch, again, like he works only for himself. He works only to see, I don't know, a small, just Tiny Tim cry. If Tiny Tim can die at the end, like he does not want to ever not be Ebenezer Scrooge.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And look, you're totally right. I think he would gladly like hold Tiny Tim's head or like the surface of a river. Oh my God, I'm drowning. But anyway, and I think that we're right to call him out. Let's give credit. You tell me, Francesca, how much credit for the 7 who did vote to convict? How much credit do they deserve?
I think a lot, actually. I mean, I think they deserve credit. I do. I absolutely do. I think that this is the step that we need to be taking for the Republican Party to actually show a little bit of leadership. Stop being cowards. They're not just cowards They're cowards in that they will not stand up for what is morally and like clearly right. But they're also afraid of this base. They're afraid of the base that they also went along with for so many years. And like, I mean, Collins and Murkowski, like, I don't know, Susan Collins, just like, maybe they got their Brett Kavanaugh in, they got their beer drinker, they got their like frat boy into the Supreme Court. So whatever, they're tired.
Yeah, and by the way, I know some people will say, well, they can do this because they know he's not actually gonna get convicted. So it's sort of free, but it's not free in the Republican Party. Multiple of the senators who voted to convict him, Cassidy and I think Burr, were already censured immediately by their state parties. So, and this is gonna hurt them. He's gonna be attacking them. So I do think that they deserve some credit. And like even Murkowski and Collins, who were supposed to be the reasonable Republicans or whatever, who gave them the beer drinker and all that, didn't vote to convict him the first time. So as much as I like to say nothing matters, nothing counts, and that still remains almost entirely true, they voted this time, they didn't vote last time. So, the 6th did have that effect at the very least. It doesn't necessarily matter, but in the history books at the very least, for whatever, that's worth, more voted to convict him this time, so that's something.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.